I'm in Shenandoah National Park, and this is Lands Run Gap, mile marker 9. Here's Skyline Drive. Here's the parking area. There's a gray ghost. And I'm going to close up the gray ghost and cross over Skyline Drive and go over here on the opposite side and get on a trail and hike down into Hickerson Hollow, looking for the Hickerson Homestead. Six-tenths of a mile into my hike, I'm down to 1,610 feet, and that's where I came from. Lands Run Gap's up that way. I think I started at 2,000 feet, now I'm down to 1,600. And from this point on down to the edge of the park is, from the old land records, is Hickerson land on the right side over here, and coming across the road, and over on the left side also. And as we get down here a little further, we're going to take a right-hand turn and look for some of the stuff from Ella Hickerson's homestead down here. I looked at the appraisal that they did and the survey from the 1930s. I'll show some of that when I do my map talk. But she had a decent commercial apple orchard down here. It was about, I think her part alone was about 12 acres of apple trees, and a bunch of different buildings. So a house, a barn, a packing shed, you know, stuff like that. So we should be able to find some interesting stuff when we get down here. Nine-tenths of a mile into my hike, I'm down to 1,475 feet. That's where I came from. And I'm standing next to the drainage pipe across the road here. These are the headwaters of Happy Creek. There isn't much water flowing right now. It's extremely dry conditions in the park. But the creek comes under the road here and goes down here and turns right and heads on further down the mountain. I'm going to go down here just a little bit further and then start looking on the right-hand side for the old homestead. I know where the driveway is because I've been down here before. In the summertime, you can see what looked like a driveway. So when we get down here, we'll head in that way. Okay, well, just a couple of hundred feet further down, right up there is where the Happy Creek crosses under the road and continues on down this way, and that'll take you out of the park if you follow it far enough. And this is the driveway right here. See that? There's the driveway heading back up in there, and on the left side of the driveway you can see part of a stone wall. And then if you look at the embankment here, you can see it's a sweeping, they cut it away a lot. See, there's the road, and here they cut in to the side of the hill to give you room to turn. And the same thing over here on this side, heading down that way. So let's head on back in here and see what we can find. Yeah, okay, well there's the stone wall on the left side of the driveway. The driveway goes back in here, and there's the trail out there. Okay, well I'm pushing back in here a little bit. Back there is the wall, and then when you get to here, there's a break, and then there's some more wall over there, and it heads off to the right, and then some of the wall heads off to the left. This looks like it might have been a road in through here, so we'll explore this too. Okay, I think I misjudged that gap in the wall back there as being going into a driveway or a road. I don't think so. Now that I'm back even further in here, you can see this stone wall here comes down that way, then it comes back this way. Now this, let me get down here a little bit, this looks a lot more like a road here. And actually, as I look through those trees, I can see the road. It goes down here and then it goes up that hill. So we'll check that out. And then here's some more of the wall right here going up that way. Back there's where I came from. There's definitely a road here. Coming in on the right hand side there is the, it looks like it's been terraced a little bit right there. So we'll go up here and check this out. Right there is an old rusted out porcelain covered pan or pot of some sort. I'll get a few stills of that. And then here's this road pushing on further into the Hickerson property here. One mile into my hike. The elevation here is 1,500 feet. And I'm within about 200 feet of the old, like 1930s survey map of this property. I'll show it to you when I do my map talk. It doesn't have any coordinates on it because it's a meets and bounds type survey. But anyway, if I overlaid it on the SNP Land Records website and got some rough coordinates from that. Anyway, the reason I'm showing you this is a big pile of rocks right here, and this is within about 200 feet of the old map. So I mean, those old maps, you got to assume they could be off a couple of 100 feet. So anyway, there's one big pile of rocks here. I'll mark this one with my GPS. Okay, now I'm within about 100 feet of the old map showing the homestead, and now I've been following. When I went past that rock pile, it looked like that's where I came from back there. Actually, I can see the rock pile through here, but that's where I came from. And then this looks like a road right here, actually coming up here. And now that I'm within about 100 feet, there's a wall that starts over there somewhere and continues on up this way. So maybe I'm getting closer. I'll go inside this wall and get some shots from there too. Okay, here's another section of this wall. It's big. I mean, it goes on and on. This is heading off in a little different direction up that way. And then behind me, if I look back that way, the way I came, maybe you can see through there. It's real flat, another road. So now I'm standing pretty much at the exact spot where the old map showed the homestead. Now, looking that way, could be a bit of a driveway coming up here, I'm not sure. But I've pushed in beyond the wall now. I'll do a 360 here. Down that way is a little bit lower ground and some drainage. Looking into the sun now. Now, I mean, up this way is a nice, it's fairly level for being in the mountains. Now, behind there, it starts to slope up pretty steeply. But this area right through here is fairly flat. So, when you see the list of stuff that they said was here, probably something was back in through here, because this is definitely, it's inside the wall and it's fairly flat. That's back to where I started. But back this way, where it's just a gentle slope up, it'd be pretty easy to have built some stuff up this way. Very hard to photograph this stuff because the sun's at such a low angle. Anyway, I'm back over here. I'm inside the big wall. That's an inside corner right there. And then here it continues on. It's about a 90-degree turn. So I'm going to wander around inside. There it goes down that way. So from over there, and then in this direction is inside the wall. That looks like an old road right there, coming up in here. So I'm going to wander around. Any high ground I see, I'll pay particular attention to that. We'll look around and see if I can find anything else in here. Okay, well here's a pretty big pile of rocks right here in between these big trees, and this is on some of the higher ground inside the fence right here. I'll mark this location too. Looking that way is the way out, which is down, looking down towards Happy Creek. I don't really see much over in this direction, but I'll mark this rock pile right here too. So I wandered around, didn't see a whole lot more, except now I'm back out to this little side road. Look how they reinforced the low side of this side road with rocks up in through here. The road appears to stop right here. That's where I came from. The rock piles and the homestead fences are back in there. And another indicator that it used to be cleared out is all that nasty stuff that's grown, all that nasty underbrush that you see glistening in the light. That's what you get. Compare that to down here where nobody lived. See that? Compared to the nasty. So now if I follow this on down the slope here a little ways, I should come down to another creek down here near the edge of Hickerson's property, a creek that drains in, runs from right to left and drains into Happy Creek down here. I might venture down there just to see if I can see anything else. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was an old road. It's not very dished out though, so it probably wasn't heavily used, but look, I can see all these rocks on the low side here, all sort of lined up in a row here. And even more back that way now that I'm turning back, looking where I came from. Actually, now that I think about it, I think there was another old road down here at the creek when we get down to the creek. So this one probably took you down to the other road. We'll see if we can find that. .3 miles into my hike, I'm down to 1,475 feet. That's where I came from. It was fairly flat until right here. It gets real steep, but this is the old road that I saw on the map. I'll point it out when I do my map talk. This one runs east and west. So down there's the creek, feeds into Happy Creek. And then there's the road continuing, let's see, that would be to the east. And I'm gonna head this way to the west because I want to get back down to the main trail. .3 miles into my hike, I'm down to 1,445 feet. I'm back out to the main trail now. I followed the old road. That's where I came from. Up that way is the Hickerson Homestead and Orchard, and right over there is part of Happy Creek. And right here is another piece of it that's feeding in right there. You got a little footbridge going across. And if you notice, this part right here is pretty worn also, because this is that's for hikers. This is blazed yellow for horses too. So they probably bring the horses down. They probably bring them down here and let them cross a creek right in through here. It looks like it's worn down through here. So anyway, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to start climbing the mountain again. There's another old road up here a little ways close to the driveway that I went in on that actually crosses over the other side of Happy Creek and is an old road. If I feel like it, when I get up to the driveway, I'll cross over. Should be able to do that. There isn't a whole lot of water in the creek today. .5 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 1480. That's where I came from. And I think this little crossing right here looks to me like where the where this other little side road is. I'm gonna jump over here and take a quick look. Holy cow, that is really some steep terrain over there though. Wow. Well, let's go over and see what we got. The I'm thinking the Hickersons that got this land here, they got a raw deal, unless it's really great up higher, because this is really steep. Now Ella's Hickerson's property is over here, and once you get up there to where that little ridge is, it's flat up there. So that's nice. Over here, not so nice. But let's I'm gonna get a GPS track started for this old road here. All right, well, down there's Happy Creek. That's where I came up. I got over it without falling down. The rocks are pretty slippery though. They're covered with moss. And here's the road. And I'm saying that's probably 30 to 45 degree slope right there. Whew, climbing this old road here. Right next to it, off to the left, is this big stone fence, stone wall. That looks like a corner of it. Way down there's Happy Creek. That's where I came from. Man, it's a climb getting up here. I'm not sure how overgrown this is, but I'll follow it up a little further. If it levels out, maybe I can follow it to the park boundary. .5 miles into my hike, I'm up to 1,550 feet. And here's another separate wall over here. Let's see. There's the corner of it right there. And then it heads on up. It's about 5 or 6 feet high in some places, and then it heads over there, up there. And the road's right here. I'm gonna climb it a little further, see what else I can find. I'm higher still, higher still over here on the west side. And here's yet another rock wall going down. That's where I came from, way down there now. Now, push on a little bit further. It's not that hard to push through here. 1.6 miles into my hike, I'm up to 1,600 feet. Don't really want to be climbing the mountain because I got to go back down to get on the main trail. I think I'm about a tenth of a mile from the park boundary, which is in that direction. I stopped here to record another rock wall right here. There's the corner of it. And then the ground's all worn right there. Maybe you can see it's dished out. Look like maybe a driveway going up in there once upon a time. And for now, I'm going to continue on. I'm hoping maybe I can make it to the park boundary. .7 miles into my hike, I'm up to 1,670 feet. And I think I'm going to turn around here because it's getting very, very hard to follow the trail now. It's kind of washed out. Oh wow, there's a pile of rocks right there. That's interesting. I'll mark that. And it's getting more and more thorny. So my motivation to push any further through here is rapidly diminishing. Down there's Happy Creek. I'm within, according to my GPS, I'm within about 400 feet or so of the park boundary. And that's where I came from. So I'll go up here and mark this location here of this big rock pile, and then I'm going to turn around and start heading back. I got to get back down to the main trail, and it's going to take a while too. Alrighty, well there's that last pile of rocks that I was talking about. That's a pretty good pile of them. Between me and that big tree is the road. There's the road heading on down that way. So, and actually right there, maybe you can see there's like a little, it's like they reinforced a driveway or something coming up here. And wouldn't you know it, there's another pile of rocks right back there. So I'll get a GPS location for these. So I'm standing in between these two rock piles I just pointed out. There's one of them there, pretty good size one. And then here's the other one right here, also good sized. And then just on the other side of that tree laying on the ground is the road. And then over there, maybe you can see some stones sticking up out of the ground. Looks like either a property boundary or maybe they reinforced it for a driveway right there. And then way down in the abyss is Happy Creek. That's where I'm headed now. This is a map of today's hike. The quadrangle name is Chester Gap, 1994, and this was a bushwhack looking for the remains of the Ella V. Hickerson Homestead, track number 105, which is located here on this map. I parked up here at Lands Run Gap. This is mile marker number 9. You cross over Skyline Drive and get on the Hickerson Hollow Trail and start descending down the east side of the mountain until you get down to here. And off to the right, especially in the wintertime, like now, you'll notice a driveway going up in here. So I went up the driveway and found a whole bunch of stone walls and a little network of roads running around in here, and some decent sized piles of rocks. So I'm pretty sure that this is where it was. And then from here, what I did was I saw a little road that headed north like this. So I followed it on down the side of the mountain to here, just south of the creek here. That ran into another little road. Then I followed that to the west, back over here to the trail, Hickerson Hollow Trail. Then I started climbing the mountain. Then when I got to here, I saw that there was another road on the other side of the creek heading up this hill. So I went across the creek and climbed up to here. Now I was going to go to, this is a fairly steep climb, by the way. When I got to here, I kind of ran out of road. I knew I was close to the park boundary. Here's the park boundary. So then I just turned around and came back down to the main trail and finally back up to my car. Now let me show you when the state of Virginia confiscated all these properties back in the 1930s. They paid surveyors to go in and survey the land so they knew how many acres each person owned. Sometimes the surveyors drew a map like this and sometimes they didn't. But this was enough of a map, believe it or not, for me to go looking for some of this stuff. This right here, this shows the property boundary for the Ella Hickerson property, and I took this and overlaid it onto the Shenandoah Park land records, which is a modern map. And based on that, I got the coordinates of these two little rectangles right here. The one that's filled in is usually the homestead, and then the one that's not filled in is usually like a barn. So I use these as the locations. I got the coordinates really off of this map. The other thing I'll point out is that here's the Hickerson Hollow Trail coming down, and eventually it takes you out of the park. And they also drew in this little side road over here that went off to the west. So that's how I knew there was a road over here. And also, it's hard to see on this map, but there's another road drawn right here. So what I did was I came down, went into the driveway, explored this area. Then I followed this down on a road that's not drawn in until I hit this one and then back. The Ella Hickerson property is this track here, 105. On the other side of the creek are other Hickerson family members that own this part over here. So Once you get down to about here on the trail, it's Hickerson's land on right and left. Okay, so that's that. And then another interesting thing to me was a little bit about, this was from the appraisal that was done when they took their land. It was about 139 acres. And this is a list right here of all the different structures that were on the homestead. And you'll notice that there was a packing house, because down here it says it was a commercial orchard, about 12 acres of apple trees, about 469 apple trees. Now, I just looked it up on Google. You can get, on mature apple trees, you can get about 5 bushels out of a tree. 469 trees, that's 2,300 bushels of apples. And a bushel of apples about 40 pounds. So that's about 92,000 pounds of apples coming out of this apple orchard. Ended up being 3 miles. It's a pretty steep hike though. Took me 3 hours and 11 minutes, which is slow. That's less than 1 mile per hour. And a total ascent of 912 feet. And that was the hike for today.